Marie, and you are listening to Achieve Spiritual, Holistic, and Self Improvement Radio. And my bro Joe, bro Joe, is on with me today. And just how are you doing, Joseph?
Oh, hi, Anne Marie. I'm doing fine. How are you?
Oh,
Doing
good.
okay?
Huh?
We got snow here, so I
Yep,
hope you're okay.
yep. We got snow too, but it was yesterday.
Oh, we had balmy weather yesterday. And
Oh,
then
yeah.
overnight, yeah, we had rain yesterday and thunderstorms the night before. And then yesterday, it just got all very polar, and it's been snowing all night. So, and
And
all day.
in New Orleans, I guess they had tornadoes. Is that unusual?
Oh, yeah, I don't know.
I know they have hurricanes, but I didn't think that
But I
they.
know it's not unusual where I live in Illinois.
Mm,
Yeah.
no, nor I.
I mean,
Well,
I
we're
live in
we're
Tornado Alley, is what they call it, really.
yeah.
You have to have a basement. Yeah, if you have to have a basement or
Oh
a
yeah.
shelter if you live really out here. I mean, seriously, or a place that you can get to. Like if you live in an apartment building, if you're looking at apartments, really do make sure that there's a basement or something. I don't know if that would do you any good because it's under a huge building. It could just, crush you. Like it did happen
Yeah. I
once in
had.
Starved Rock. Yeah.
I think I spend most of my year going in my head. What corner will we be going to? Is it
Yeah.
protected from windows? Does it
Mhm.
have the proper equipment away from the window so that the tornado wouldn't blow it and crush you? Do
Right.
we have helmets? And the thing is anymore they're saying if you're in Tornado Alley, you really should have a hard hat. I mean, if you need a hard hat to go bicycling or to go motorcycling, you would think the least you could do in a tornado alley is to have two real good or however many people are in your house helmets. We need one for our dogs too, I guess. But my problem is my dogs will not go down the
Oh,
basement
that would be
stairs.
cute. Yeah, yeah. I have one
My
that
dog,
won't. One won't. We'd have to carry her. The other one, he'd come down. Yeah, Bugsy would come down, but the older dog wouldn't. We'd have to carry her. We had to do that once before.
yeah. Well, such is the temperature and the energy of Tornado Alley land. And I guess the prairie was always considered to be a wonderful deal for free land, I hear, at one time. But I always relish on the stories about when the settlers first came to the prairie land or the
Oh
plains,
yeah.
and they didn't realize that a beautiful spring day could turn into a horrible blizzard within an
Hmm.
hour, and children would and their parents would freeze to death on the way home. And just the stories of and virgin soil. I read that
Yeah.
when they first dug up the soil in the plains and the prairie lands, the settlers came down with this outrageous itching, and they itched themselves raw, and
Wow.
the only people that could help them were the native Indians, because they had herbs that could deal with what it was. It was something about virgin soil being broken open, and you know
Hmm.
just kind of it created this itchy fungus from the
Wow.
land. So all these things that went through from our
Hmm.
great great relatives and our or the people at least that settled here before us.
Absolutely. And Illinois, in a very short time ago, was a very short time ago. And my mother was a child, and actually, she'll be born like over a century ago, come May, really. So really, about
Wow.
100 years ago, only 100 years ago, and even let's say when she was a little girl. She said that they didn't even have sidewalks in the town that we grew up in. Everything was boardwalks, and the streets were dirt, and then the streetcars were, started to, we had streetcars at one point, and she said it was actually easier to get downtown to go to like Navy Pier because it was one bus. You got on the
Mm.
Bluebird bus, and it was a very
The
safe
bluebird
trip.
bus.
Yes, it was called the Bluebird bus, and it went right down to Navy Pier. So it was very convenient and very, it was very safe, because you felt very safe. You go, well, I just hop on the Bluebird bus and I'll be back on the Bluebird bus.
Oh,
It's not
those
a
were
big
safe.
hassle of getting lost and all this other kind of stuff, and having to drive and getting stuck in traffic. It just was a very easy time, and
Do you
uh,
think that it
uh,
really, I mean, they would have us believe
mhm.
that this new wave of violence and child molesting and things like that and rape are something new, but I believe that sexual crime has been going on
Oh,
forever. And
since our existence, it's been
and
going on. And
right.
it has
And
not gotten well. I think what it is. Okay, has it gotten worse? Well, yes, because our population has grown. So
yes.
not only have all the good people grown in population, but also a lot of the nasty people have. And of course, we're going to notice these nasty acts a lot more because
Right.
it's just abhorrent, so you
And we
can't
have
miss it.
and,
And
and we have
and that
Facebook and
story
Twitter
is
and
right.
social, yeah.
We hear about every little thing now. I mean, what people
Right.
are having for
And the minute
coffee
it
and
happens, the minute it
right. The
happens.
minute it happens, we are aware of it, and we didn't used to be aware of it. But yeah, it's been going on since our existence. Where we've always had this one side of us. It's like half the population are predators. You know, and you just gotta it's just our race because we don't have any predators above us. I mean, really, we're the top predator on this planet in general. You know, um, we can destroy every animal on this planet. We have that much power, and it's a horrible power to have. So it has to be, you know, it has to be kept in check.
And that's
Human predators are so incredibly dangerous, and they exist in many levels. I mean, they're not all killers. They're not all overtly violent, but
no.
they do have ideas that have no regard for anybody, and that is a predator mentality. It's what they want, and that's it.
Well,
You know,
we've been taught in the Bible too, as far as dominion over all.
right?
And we went into this earth with this very strong pride that we were, we could pretty much do what we wanted as long as we asked for forgiveness. And that's one thing that always that's one thing that I am proud to be a spiritualist. And though I love my religious and Christian and Muslim friends, I believe that so much of the time, what frustrates me is the people that go to church and or the Christians that will go to the church, or um the Muslims that go to the mosque, and then it's like after you get out of there, you've been forgiven or you're okay now. And so I always say the only thing there's many people that say that religion is dying. I would say no, it's not. I believe that people are still religious, still believe in God, but there's a lot of people that are realizing the wisdom of nominational religions is a is kind of like check a political party, where it creates more wars. Your church is better
Mm-hmm.
than that guy's church, or that religion's better than
Or
that.
my God's better than your God, or my God
Yeah,
is
yeah,
God,
yeah.
yours isn't.
Yeah, yeah. My heaven's better
Yeah,
than your heaven. And
right.
the thing is, the only difference between spiritual people, I believe, and religious fanatical nominations is that spiritualists tend to believe in love and believe that you have to walk your talk, and
Mhm.
that you have to be able to not shove ideas down people's throats,
Mhm.
because if you do, it's already creating a war, and I get so tired of hearing how religion is dying. I don't think it is. I think nominations are dying. Church nomination.
Denominations,
How do you say that?
the
Denominations?
denominations or the congregations, people are not coming
The,
to church. So maybe
right.
the church buildings themselves are not being supported anymore by the donations because people are not going. And that's when churches close. It's when people stop donating, and then
And
that's
when
it.
it, and I have known some very wonderful people
Hmm.
that would have made amazing ministers,
Mm.
and
Yeah,
and
me
and
too.
and
Yeah.
yet even the rigmarole to be able to be a minister goes beyond being able to speak from your heart and
Hmm.
inspire people, but also goes into how many years of theology have you taken, and how many, and I have known people that became very frustrated because they were so ready to speak their heart in churches and to
Oh, yeah.
minister, but then they couldn't because they always lost out to the one that had more years of theology and more
Yeah.
years of, so there again,
Well,
it
I
begins to
have
be.
a friend, a very close friend that would have made a great priest. A friend of mine would have made a great priest. He had actually gone to the seminary and was doing very well because he's a real brain. He's also
Mm,
into science, but he dropped out.
mhm.
Because, and I still think, yeah, it's a really shame because I just think he would have been marvelous. He probably would have. I
Right.
probably would have. I probably would have gone to church if he had.
Well,
um, I was
I
raised a
believe church.
Catholic. I was raised a Catholic. I had spent 12 years of, I had 8 years of parochial school, and my family was Catholic. And um, practicing Catholic. We went to church on all the holy days, all the Sundays, we couldn't sleep in on Christmas. No way. Okay. So you had to, I mean, Easter Sunday, you had to go to church. I mean, it was actually, holidays were quite exhausting because I could never get out of bed. I was just exhausted. I was a child, but
It's interesting because when I
wake me up to go play and I'll bounce out of bed. Wake me up for church and I can't get out.
I was I was a Lutheran, brought up a Lutheran,
Mhm.
and not the Missouri Senate, which tends to be a little radical, but the Lutheran church that I went to as a little girl, I was going through my rebellious, I'm not going to believe what you say until you give me a good answer
Right.
stage.
Right.
And I remember I was being sent to go to catechism. And one day the minister or the pastor was talking to us in catechism, and he was telling us a Bible story or something like that. And I kept raising my hand and I said, "Why? What why?"
They
He
loved
called
you.
he called my mother and told me I wasn't allowed to come back.
You're
And
not supposed
the
to
way that
question your beliefs.
the way the way that he closed the sermon, I'll never forget this. And I remember that my mother said, "Why did you have a good class?" And I said, "Mom," and I told her the story. He kind of looked at me with this very weary look on his face, and he says, "All right, let us close our minds in prayer." And I remembered that. I thought, "Huh?" And then I
Close your
realized what he said, a
minds.
subliminal. He had just said, "Let us close our minds in prayer."
And he
You
meant
know.
you.
Yeah.
He meant you. It was, please close your minds in prayer, Anne Marie.
So that was
Stop
the end of
being psychic while you're in my class.
the end of my catechism. I didn't get to wear the white dress and go up with everybody, but
Oh.
um, that was just it was what it was.
Well, I didn't have catechism because, like I said, I was in an actual parochial school, so it was the whole thing was just all nuns and priests and yeah, there
Oh.
was curriculum, but you had religion class, and that was the catechism, and then plus it was, oh my gosh, a million prayers and church all the time. And actually, they would have preferred if you all went to church before school, which meant you had to get up at the crack of dawn, and they were trying to encourage people to become altar boys, and there's no way. And people thought I would because I just seemed like the type that would. And it's like, boy, you are wrong. That that is not for me.
Mhm.
I can't get out of bed that early. And I know I would have. I used to think if I had done that, it would have been like watching Dennis the Menace trying to be an altar boy, like tripping and knocking over candles being clumsy and like burning down curtains by accident, stuff like that. Dropping the wafers, you know, eating the
Yeah,
wafers, maybe
eating the wafers. But
sneaking the wine out of the back room.
when I lived in Chicago, I we used to play nun, Catholic church or Catholic school. My friends all went to Catholic schools. I didn't because I was Lutheran. But
Mm.
we'd go in the basement, and my father was a history teacher, so he had all these old antique desks downstairs.
Oh, cool. You could play
And
school.
the kids in the neighborhood would come over, and we'd all go down in the basement, and we'd sit in these old desks, and one person would be the nun, and she got to slap people and hit people.
That's pretty much how it was when I
And
was in school.
she brought her workbooks from school, and so we would study out of the workbooks. I didn't understand half of what was in them because it
Yeah.
was like Latin terms and things like, based on the church. But I remember thinking, golly, I wish it was my turn to be the nun, because then I could, you know, I could people. So anyway, so um, I'm wondering, today we have nobody
Nobody's in the
in the
queue? Okay.
nobody's in the queue, and we don't
Oh,
have
you
any
know what?
calls.
Hey, you know what? I do a card of the day most of the time on Facebook,
Okay.
on the Lantern Bearer page,
Uh,
Joseph the
uh-huh.
Lantern Bearer, and I pulled up today, which was nice because usually I get awful cards lately, and I'm not really quite sure why. They're always upside down things, and
Yeah.
and I think it's because of the general consensus of a lot of people lately. Because I'm always thinking, what's the card that applies to all of us today, or for anyone that sees it? That's what I think in my mind when I pull it out. And today was nice because I picked up the Nine of Cups,
Oh,
the Wish card.
the wish card.
The Wish card,
And
which
and how did
means
you interpret that?
yeah, well, today it means that for today, and today is more likely that your wishes are going to be coming true. Your heart's desire, your secret wish, things that you've always wanted, or a problem that you've been trying to solve finally gets solved today. And you can just relax, and you're going to be pretty much worry free today, and some wishes will be granted. This is the wish grant card. Desires and things that you've been working for, they all seem to be moving closer to reality today, and you might even have that reality. It's very possible. For some reason, it appears that on this day the
Mhm.
universe is listening. The universe is
Mm.
listening, and the universe is more generous than usual today. So if you don't have a wish, if you don't have a dream, get one and make sure it's a nice one. And because it might come true today. So choose your wishes carefully because everyone's being given a gift of some kind today. And you might not notice it. So at the end of the day, be aware. Think back and think about something really cool that happened that
Mm.
worked out for you. You know, and so make a
That's
wish.
cool.
Yeah,
Yeah.
make a wish. And then
I
I have a lot of them. I hope a major one comes for me, and it involves other people's health and stuff, and some other things I don't want to discuss because we've been hearing about them too much.
Yeah, we don't wanna talk about
And
them.
we're not going to talk about it. But anyway, so even those kinds of wishes, really think carefully and really, really take a moment and just concentrate on your wish, and we'll see where it goes.
I have a little bit of something for psychic readers, and that's something to be planning on for the next coming year for psychic readers that like to do fairs.
Oh,
And it's how to decorate your psychic booth.
mm,
And it says, so this was written by Corby Mitlid. And she says, let's say you wanted to open up a chocolate shop. You check out the neighborhood and see what the look is. Are
oh,
you in an
absolutely.
are you in an upscale suburb? Are you on a country lane?
Mm,
Are you on a city street? You'd make sure that your psychic store would look like it belonged there,
mm-hmm.
but with just enough difference to
Yeah, it has
catch
to be
the
you.
eye.
It has to be
Yes,
you.
right.
All right.
But in a way that blends without
Right.
creating controversy.
Um, the aesthetics should be
Yes.
something that looks appealing and also reflects you. And but it should blend well, like when you're decorating your house, when you decorate your room, you can have that unusual piece in the corner, but don't put the antique in the room with all the chrome and all the acrylic and all the,
Yeah, yeah.
put the antique in the study with the leather chair and the desk. So yeah, choose your neighborhood, and make
And
sure
well,
that you blend with it. Yeah. Otherwise they
and
won't
for
like it, it won't,
people like
yeah.
many psychic readers like you and I live in a house,
Yes.
and I live 36 steps away from my studio.
Yeah.
It's just like a hop, skip, and a step away from it.
Hmm.
But it's a house and it's in a
Right.
neighborhood. It's not in a
It's
city
not a
block.
business section. Right.
So I have to make sure that I'm aesthetically acceptable within the look. And
Hmm.
though I do have life-size concrete and basalt stone angels,
Well,
I do have a lot of gardens and the
right.
colors
People
are
decorate.
and I make sure everything is very feng shui and
Mm,
uncluttered. So it says in the same way, you'd make sure that your store looked like it belonged there, but with
absolutely.
just enough difference to catch the eye. And you'd have a great store window and make sure that a delicious aroma or essential oil or whatever was wafting out the door to catch
Hmm.
business. Here's
Hmm.
how you sit up. So now, looking at this, you're going to do the same thing for setting up your booth at the psychic fair. So let's say that um, this woman had been at the psychic fair many times, spiritual expos, holistic expos,
Hmm.
psychic expos, and her circuit full tilt has been really jam packed. She's done shows that are no more than half a dozen readers and a jeweler, and shows that filled massive exhibition centers in Boston, San Diego, and Toronto. But whether big or small, strictly psychic or running the gamut by including health and
Hmm.
wellness and every flavor of metaphysics, the booth needs to be inviting and flavored with what will make it uniquely yours. So the first thing that you have to do is think about the color. Colors all have different vibrations. So the one thing she says is her booth is done in blues and indigos and purples because these colors are on the cool side of the spectrum, and these
Hmm.
colors are related to the fifth, sixth, and seventh chakras: communication,
Yes.
psychic ability, and the
Hmm.
crown chakra, where we get the direct download from spirit. But more opportunity, bleh, they are colors that she loves to wear. So
Yeah.
you want to make sure that your clothing and your booth are all coordinated.
Hmm.
And because basically your booth is your outfit. It's like
Hmm.
what you would wear if you were running around on the sidewalk with your booth. So the one thing she also says is you are supposed to ask, and hold on just a second here. She says you are supposed to ask. Um, oops. Anyway, she just goes on and on about how she feels that making sure that your booth coordinates with you, and to make sure that and to make sure that you ask, how do they make me look in this booth? It's a fair
Hmm.
question because you are the jewel, so to speak, in the booth setting.
Right.
So if you look terrible in yellow and warm colors, for God's sake, don't have your booth as this that makes you clash. It's like when they say, remember in
Hmm.
the 60s, the 70s, when all the disco clothes were popular, but they drowned it out, the person in them, because they were so wild.
Oh yeah, I never wore 'em. I lived in
Well, I
that
never did
period.
either. I never did either.
A lot of my peers, not that I really had any, but most of the people my age at the time were into that. All those silky shirts and the silky bell bottoms and the things that had
Uh-huh.
these like loud landscapes on them, and they all looked the same. They all had they all discovered the blow dryer, so they all had the hair, the. And it's like they kept trying to make me change. It's like, why don't you do something with your hair? Why don't you change? Why don't you wear better clothes? And see, I always wore a lot of black because actually
Uh-huh.
I was never happy with some of the saturations and the colors that I would see in the store. If I liked the color, the fabric wasn't cotton or something. It was something, there was always something that prevented me from really, it's like, okay, I didn't mind the look that they had, but I didn't like the fabric, so I wasn't going to wear it. And
Exactly. So she says,
right.
make sure that the colors that you use look good on you. And
Hmm.
also she says, stay away from the color pink, because pink is a color of love and compassion, but everybody's going to have pink in their booth. So
Hmm.
because your show gear is going to get packed up and loaded in and out, make sure that whatever you use is not so delicate that it tears easily. For instance, wafts of chiffon
Yeah.
needs constant dry cleaning to be at its best. Fabrics that can work well as stretch velours or velvets,
Mhm.
washable brocades. Beware of things like pure cotton or linen that wrinkle and make you look, uh, you know, kind of like cheap. And, you know,
I'm
that
always wrinkled. I tell people it's supposed to be that way. It's a crinkle shirt, crinkle
The
fabric.
next item is signage. This is usually the first thing people focus on from a distance. So you want to make sure that your sign is clear and big enough so people can see it from a distance, and that your name or the name of your business is clear and it gives people a quick idea of what you do. The days of the felt applique letters and glitter are gone, except for the smallest of shows. And it's easy to get a decent sign made either locally or at a big box office store that really stands out from a distance. And
Joe
so,
knows. That's simple enough.
yeah, so
Joe
basically, that's a
knows.
few of the things that you want to think about. And I have this article on the blog, or I will put it on the blog for today. So those are just some tips for people that may be preparing for the psychic fairs this year.
Mhm.
And you know it's up to you. Do you want to look awesome, or do you want to look like tacky, or do you want to look like you're primitive and outdated? I mean, that is one thing I do notice, is that a lot of spiritual shops are very outdated.
How so? Do you mean like they look like everybody's like old fashioned? Or is it the
Well,
decor is just too cliche
too
for like
cliche.
say it looks like 70s cliche psychic
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
voodoo. Yeah.
Yeah. Because right now, psychic is almost considered a form of healing.
Hmm.
So a lot of psychics looks, I mean, obviously you want to be who you are. I am an old flower child, so my shop does have some flower child qualities about it, but I'm also very aware that the essential oils are going to be lavender. I have to have almost a setting that is neutral, that looks kind of like you would in a spa, not bright gaudy colors,
Right.
um, keeping it a little bit
Un
modern,
uncluttered,
uncluttered.
so that you could see things better. You could notice things better. It's like when people that buy a lot of really nice things for their home, and then it's all like kind of like jammed. It's all crammed onto a shelf or a table. And one of my
Like
friends came to my apartment one time, and because I like to keep my apartment rather uncluttered looking. I don't do a whole lot to my walls, unless I'm hanging up real art done by real people. And she said to me, she looked at, she goes, "You have one vase on this little table." I said, "Yes." She said, "I wish I can do that." She said, "I have on my little tables, I got a bunch of crap that nobody even looks at because it's all very pretty, but there's so much of it crammed in there, no one's going to notice it." So, but I just thought, well, that's too bad.
less is more.
Change it.
Yeah. Yeah, you are not married to your clutter.
Right, you could change it. The thing is, you don't have to get rid of it. I'm just saying, think about what you want to have displayed. Think about, you might want to even change. Maybe pull something, put enough away, store the rest of it, and maybe do a theme. Have a change all the time, but keep it uncluttered. If you want to show off different things at different times, maybe.
Different seasons.
Yeah, and my mother used to do that. I mean, we would see different decor, I mean, different objects in my house, different times of the year. And I don't mean just the obvious holiday things. I mean, like, we would have the little dog pictures would change. I mean, with the seasons, and, we would have all sorts of little pictures changing with the seasons throughout. Curtains would change. The curtains
Mhm,
always
mhm,
changed.
mhm,
Um, Everything, seat covers, curtains, everything, throws, tablecloths. I mean, it was just like, it
mhm.
wasn't all out there at one time. It was just all the knickknacks would change, otherwise it would look like a museum if everything was out. So you could do that. I mean, once you decide to unclutter the space, start removing things at a time, and you'll know when to stop because you don't want to look too sparse. You don't want that. And you don't want it to look half empty because then it looks like you're trying to be a minimalist on purpose. Like, oh, look at me, I'm so stylish, I have nothing. you know,
Thank you. Thank you so much.
you
I
gotta have
appreciate
something. You gotta
the
have,
minimalist is
keep it
about as
interesting.
to me there's got to be a balance because the minimalist look is about as much a pain in the butt to me as the too clutter look. There
Yeah,
has to be that balance. Otherwise you look like you're trying to be just too.
you're right, exactly. Now, when it comes to, like, say, costuming, I don't like to call it costuming. I would say garb, what we're going to wear, what a person wears. And I'd say if I was presenting myself to the public, in face to face, which I usually don't do that because I don't have a sign up in my house because I share a house with other people and I can't do that. And there's zoning here. I really can't do that. I would have to have a locale, and I can't have people coming to the house left and right. I just can't. But if I was to make an appearance in person like that, I think I would go with a simple suit, a dark suit. I'd wear black. I would go all black, or maybe I would have a tie that was blue or something that would reflect another of my favorite colors. But I think for what I'm wearing, I try to keep it all very because it reflects my tastes. I mean, I don't wear anything loud by nature. I don't wear yellows and oranges, and not unless it's part of a pattern, and not unless it's Halloween and I want to wear a pumpkin shirt or something. But I've always kept everything low key, and I have my black background, you know, and
Mhm.
because
Joseph, I wondered if you could do a meditation while I
are you
make a
making an
quick little
adjustment?
moments, please. Okay.
A wardrobe crisis.
Yes, there you go. I'll be back
Okay,
in about 3
we'll do
seconds or
it.
well, 3
We'll
minutes.
do it. Alrighty. So, here's something that you could do to start your day and to end your day before bed and as you get up. And try to do this as often as you can. And it makes you feel really good, makes the day go better, and it clears your mind. You stand with your feet apart and your hands down, your arms relaxed, stand tall, and you say to yourself, take in a breath. And while you're taking in your breath, you say, I bring the cosmic forces into my body. And you breathe out and you say, asking for strength, protection, and guidance. I bring the cosmic forces into my body, asking for strength, protection, and guidance. I bring the cosmic forces into my being, asking for strength, protection, and guidance. I like to use the word being. You could say body, or you could say soul. You can say whatever you want. As long as you get that idea, it's you are taking in this wonderful energy that's available for you. And after this meditation, you raise your hands a little bit like you're feeling rain, and you say, protect me with your white light, shower of white light. And then you cross your arms and you say, thank you, thank you, thank you. And you start your day or go to bed. And it really does help, especially if you're going through a rather grueling time at work. It's a little reminder to yourself that you can control your behavior and your reactions, and it also helps you to control um, um, to be more receptive and to be more analytical rather than reactive to something. And it's interesting, and it really does work. And there's another thought. Now, I was listening to one of my favorite artists the other day, Laurie Anderson, who's an avant garde sort of progressive rock poetess in a way. And I've been listening to her for some time. And she said something interesting. She said, if you're having a bad time and if you're feeling very sad and have a lot of sorrow or pain, think of your mother and choose a time. Yeah, choose a time when she was being very kind and healing to you, like when you were sick. And I thought, now, does that really work? So I thought about it, and I thought about the time when I woke up in the middle of the night when I was a child crying because I had growing pains. My legs were growing, and
Oh,
I remember having growing pains. I do, and it
wow.
hurts. It really does hurt, and it really is real. It's because you feel like it's a very horrible thing because it doesn't like hurt like someone stabbing you. It's like a dull ache, and it's comes from under your skin. It's like it's inside because it's your bones. They're growing, and it's normal.
Wow.
That's some kids don't notice their growing pains, but I would notice it now and then. And I woke up and I just started crying because it wasn't like a hurt. It was just, I don't know. It was just it kind of did because of the way it was.
Yes.
And no, nothing I could do. And my mother came in and she said, well, she said, just relax and close your eyes and I'll rub your leg for you. And I said, that's not going to help. It's inside, not on the outside. And she said, no, just try it. And I fell asleep.
Mm. Yeah,
And you
yeah.
know what?
It
But
was
thinking about that, it really does make me feel better. It did
right.
work. I mean, because I had tried it and I thought, wow, that's really interesting that we can call upon these moments in our lives where somebody had sort of healed, did a healing thing, sort of, or attempted to do something, or tried to make us feel good by giving us physical touch and coupled with this love and concern that a mother would have
It's
for
kind of, and that's what Reiki is based on.
mm,
Reiki is based on the fact that when a mother's touch heals a pain or a sickness. It isn't that she's doing anything spectacular. It's just that
Hmm.
the human touch of a hand on a forehead or on your leg
Yeah,
or
and
anything like that.
it's the fact that they're trying to do that, they have the compassion and this energy is present,
Would
and
would you would you like to
they
give
but they did find out that human touch actually does medically
Oh,
improve
absolutely. Would you
when
like to give
children when babies are sick. I remember hearing about sick twins, and they didn't get better until they decided, you know what, let's put them together in the same crib and let them touch each other,
Oh,
and
yeah.
they got
Would you
better.
like to give Bridget a
The
reading? Would you
Sure.
She's
Oh,
calling
we have somebody.
in. We
Great.
have a caller. Yes. Hi, Bridget.
Yay.
How are you?
I
Yay.
forgot my noisemaker.
Well, I've got it. Here, we've got this for Bridget.
Oh, good. And
Bridget,
now,
how are
what is her
you?
name? What is her
Bridget.
name?
Bridget, what
Yes.
can we do
Bridget.
for you?
Hi, Bridget.
Um, I have a couple of questions, but you can answer any one you'd like. Is that okay?
Well, let's start with one.
Yeah, that makes it a little clearer for us. Yeah.
Okay. Do you think I'll get a job this month?
Okay. Let's see. Let me just cut my deck here. Cut my cards.
So, Bridget, do you have any specific job that you applied for that you would like us to read on?
Yes, I'm in the medical field, and I've have filled out a couple of applications, and I'm going to fill out a couple of more. But
Which one
when time,
stands out that you would really like us to read on?
it's you want me to say the name of the place or the area?
Or the
It's in,
abbreviation if you don't want to say it.
it's Pruitt Health Indicator, but I'll work in Atlanta, Georgia. It doesn't matter.
Okay.
But that's my second choice, Atlanta.
So what do you have,
All right,
Joseph?
all right. It's funny. I was just looking at, the Two of Cups came up in your recent past. It shows like you've been recently hooked up with somebody or some organization. I'm seeing cups though, so I'm seeing that you in the past, and it happened recently, or it's still on your mind, or it's still here, because I'm seeing in the past that it's it's this particular card, the Two of Cups. It usually means like it's a nice little love affair, and I do see that in your past, and it's an influence because it showed up. I am seeing that there's money problems represented by the devil upside down. Now, don't be worried about the devil. It doesn't really mean the demon. It just means that maybe, oh, the money problems have made you really desperate and kind of aggressive, and that will happen. We might start to do things because we're so desperate that, oh, sometimes they might be a little bit manipulative, but you're kind of pushed into it sometimes. So that's not really a criticism. But I will say that that things can work so long as you realize that you have to there are some responsibilities that you do have to face in the near future in order for things to work out. I do see a job possibly coming. Oh, I'm seeing 7 though, so that could be more like 7 weeks to 7 months, and I really hope it's not the months. Okay, I'm not seeing 7 days, but it's possible. But there is something you need to know, is that um, you will you will experience some losses, but they're not anything that you could avoid. It's just sort of like, things with life, so you might have to like move to get the job, or you might have to make some sacrifices because of the job, but that's simply one of the things that does happen. So I do see that there's a chance, but you do need to be responsible. And if you've made mistakes in the past and they come up in your interview and you're called on them, the best thing that you can do, and it will get you the most respect, is that if your mistakes are called up, or be honest and tell them what you've learned, and from this, because that's something that this way you can have a conversation with them. If you say, well, have you ever, if they ask you things like, have you ever experienced, say, a difficult customer, or something, or has somebody ever made a complaint? And you say, well, if you lie, they can find out. I'm just telling you right now, lying is not a good idea. And I know that you won't deliberately lie, but I know sometimes we're tempted to puff ourselves up because we really want that job. Be honest. Be honest about, and don't forget, be honest about every skill that applies to that position, really, because people forget. They might ask you, so do you tend to volunteer? You might think, no, I don't. And you realize, oh, wait, I do. You know, so really, really, really be together, okay, and be honest, and do let them know what you've learned, from these past mistakes. If they don't ask you them, don't volunteer them. It should be all right. But I'm seeing sevens, okay? I am seeing that, and I am seeing that it has to do with sevens. It could be 7 days, but I doubt it. 7 weeks to 7 months, and I hope it's the 7 weeks.
That's what makes sense to me because the first thing I have, Bridget, when I looked at what is your guardian angel for this time of your life, and it says teaching and learning,
Hmm.
which is represented by Archangel Zedkiel. It says, keep an open mind and learn some new ideas. Then each of those ideas will affect your potential for the future. It also says, um, work on your relationship skills with other people. It says that means opening up to the hearts of everyone involved, uh, especially staying away from arguing and conflicts in the work environment. Now, when I look at what is your potential for a job, I too have um, the end of February or the beginning of March,
That's like
which would
seven,
be
yeah, 7 weeks.
approximately 7 weeks.
Yeah.
And it also says, please understand this. And I'm not sure why. It says, work on those communication skills. If people piss you off and you find that you start to get oversensitive about it, try to understand that you just try to do it like Joseph said. Imagine something in your life where you
Hmm.
it soothes you like a mother's touch or just whatever, because it says you need to work on patience and you need to work on your faith that you can and will get along and be able to not be intimidated or not feel angry with the people around you. And it says, this is why teaching and learning came up. If there's any way that you can learn a new course or improve something that you already do at this time, it will make you fill any space of time where you're not working by learning and making you even more employable. It'll also create that sense of faith in yourself that you're bettering yourself. And it says, look for, like Joseph says, the end of February, beginning of March, 7 weeks too. That's what I have as well.
Yeah, try to understand that you as a person in an interview and with jobs, don't take anything personally. This is all about skill sets and performance and what you can do. And just like when people say things to you, strangers, friends, they say something to get your ire up, it's just like, it doesn't really matter what they say. Just it's just nonsense anyway. People mirror things, They will say things about you when they're talking about themselves, and I've noticed it quite a bit. So you really shouldn't take these things to heart. Do not see these things as personal attacks upon your personality. Do not see that
And
as an attack.
and if people are if you have a excuse me, problem with work politics,
No, they don't
remember that.
matter. Yeah, you
Yeah,
play the game while you're there. You don't have, but those, it's not. anything that you're going to lose any part of yourself just because you have to play the game at work. That's just the rules of the game while you're there. So don't take it personally. You don't have to lose a part of yourself. You just have to be, you know, you have to be professional for your 8 hours a day or for however long that you're working. And just keep that
So,
in mind. You're here for the money. It's a business agreement. Bosses are
yep.
not parents nor family members. It's all business, and keep it
And
separate from your life.
friends at work usually are just
Friends at work.
maybe friends at work. They're not
Yeah,
necessarily people that are real friends. And if
right.
they are, there may be somebody you have a beer with or something on a Friday or whatever, but not necessarily.
They're
Oh
not
gosh,
usually the ones that
and
you've
we got to leave.
chosen.
We have to
Yeah.
do a flash reading with Andy from
Oh,
Connecticut.
okay. And
Andy, just a flash reading. What can Joseph read on for you?
Oh, hello. Are you talking to me?
yeah.
Yes.
Hello? Oh,
Yes.
okay. It's Sandy, not Andy.
Oh, I have
Oh.
ANDI.
Well,
I
it's
have
funny,
yeah.
Sandy, because as soon as I heard that, I grabbed a card for you before you even asked the question, and I got the Lovers. And I'm seeing that you're
Oh.
about to enter a lovely romance, so that you are currently enjoying a romance. I am seeing that that you you are one that you might be ambivalent about leaving familiar things to make this relationship work, like leaving home, moving away. All these things, though, are necessary, and I do see that you're going to experience, or have been, and it will go on for a while, a period of good times. And I see your relationships growing, and I'm seeing that you're going to have some interesting little things to do when you go away.
I'm gonna give her a couple of. I have two guardian angel readings for you. The first one is clear your chakras, and it says this is a great time to just kind of clear out the bull crap that you have been worrying about, and just concentrate on worrying less. It also
Yeah.
says take some time to breathe. Take several deep breaths every time you exhale. Exhale slowly and awaken your energy and release the old crap, release the old patterns that you have been worrying about.
Yeah,
It
things you
seems
don't
to
need
say
anymore.
because the past is seen as people who didn't understand, people who don't get you. And your reading says, doesn't matter, just like with our Brenda, doesn't matter what other people think. This is time to clear you
Yeah.
of all that old stuff and just breathe and lighten up and learn to
Hmm.
play. When you lighten up and play, you'll be amazed, Sandy. We
Hmm.
got to go. Thank you, Joseph.
Take care. It's
And
fun.
yes,
Thanks.
all right. Bye bye.
Bye bye. I hope you do have a boyfriend, Sandy, or because I did pull up a love card for you,
There you go.
so you might meet somebody.
Psychic Radio.